So the vibe for today is canceled. The channel is canceled. This bookshelf is canceled. Everything is simply canceled. My original plan was to do like a bookshelf tour of this shelf. I have two bookshelves. This is not all my books. And I was like, well, I have to take this shelf down, so I should go through my books and then deconstruct it. That could be sexy since, like, I have a video of me building this bookshelf. It might be kind of fun to do one of me deconstructing it, but I literally don't feel like doing that today. I had surgery a little bit over a week ago, so I'm still kind of tired. Like, I'm sorry, we need to chillax today, so that's what we're gonna do. We're lighting some lavender incense to the goddess Athena in the hopes that she may help us, because we're all so damn hello. I said we are lighting some lavender incense to the goddess Athena in the hopes that she may help us, because we're all so damn... We might be forsaken. I need to like stick this incense in. I will stick it in an open flame. Okay, it's going. Hit that like button if you can remember all, I think, 3 incidents now of me lighting something on fire or nearly lighting something on fire. I just want to talk about what I've been reading recently. So I guess I'll just go in order. So I guess we'll start with Procopius, The Secret History. Procopius, I don't know. I mentioned this in my video on Rebel by Rahaf Muhammad. I found this quite interesting. It's basically an expose of some major politicians in Byzantium, and it's just a very kind of contentious text. I don't know a ton about Byzantium. I was interested in this honestly primarily because the title is the same as that of my favorite book by Donna Tartt, and I was kind of interested in like reading this and kind of putting it in conversation with that text in that way. And I think that like it's pretty easy to see what she was trying to do by titling The Secret History what she did. This particular author had a bunch of very kind of just popular, like, high praise works prior to this one, which is why this and its authorship is kind of controversial, praising the same rulers that he says are basically the worst thing that ever happened in this. And so it's the idea of like the one side, the idealized side of somebody, and then you have, you know, the dark truth of everything. That's basically what The Secret History is about, isn't it, right? In the first book, Richard has this kind of idealized view of all his lovely, extremely aesthetically pleasing pals. And then, of course, you know, later in the book, he finds out that there's all kinds of horrible sins that they are all committing behind the scenes. So I thought it was super interesting from that perspective. If you can, like, find an edition of this with an introduction written by a woman, and I mean a woman, not like a woman, but an honorary man, like, you know, who hates women as much as men do, definitely do that. Like, don't get this edition, or if you get this edition, just skip the introduction, because to me, this had like a very kind of ignorant introduction where he basically takes like everything this author says about Empress Theodora at face value, and to me that just seemed really oversimplifying and kind of bad scholarship on a text this contentious. So this definitely piqued my interest in Empress Theodora and made me want to read more about historical women, fictional or real. And then the next thing that I read after that was Paulo Coelho's, I'm bad with names, The Archer. Paulo Coelho is the author of The Alchemist, which everybody hates. Everybody is so damn cynical that they hate The Alchemist. I really like The Alchemist. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry that you know, y'all hate yourselves. This is bad, don't waste your time on it. Like, this is literally every page looks like this, and it's not even really like a narrative story. It's much more like a very thinly veiled nonfiction self-help book. This got like really pushed a lot on Goodreads. I don't know if like Mr. Coelho is like in debt or something, like he really needs some coin. But yeah, I'm sorry, just it doesn't have substance. Don't waste your time on it. Next, I read the oldest book on my TBR, When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone. I finally got around to reading it, and it did not disappoint. It is so amazing and really just healing to read. This book gets kind of a lot of flack because people think that when you do like feminist readings of history, that like inherently means that basically that everything you say is gibberish and worthless. Somehow they don't think the same when we just by default do like patriarchal renditions of history. Like it, like I do find it a little bit funny that people get so panicked and so upset when we talk about like pretty plausible, I think, theories of how people might have previously seen women as like the superior or default or like main like sex. Yeah, this basically talks about how in ancient times and likely for a lot of prehistory, women were worshipped. Like God literally was a woman. And the author kind of talks about how this is very intertwined with women back then probably having a lot more equality with men, if not superior status in society. So there's a lot of talk about like theories about matriarchal societies and things like that. I think one of the most interesting things that this book had in it, people might not have known that men had a hand in causing pregnancy. So people may not have figured out the relationship between sex and conception. So it might have just been a lot more everybody's having sex with everybody, and they might have just seen that as like a totally separate activity, which means that when, you know, a woman gets pregnant and starts to swell up, they would have like literally thought that women were just like creating new life out of nowhere. Like they literally would have thought women were gods, basically, like solely responsible for propagating the species. Honestly, I think it's a really cool theory. Like there does seem to be kind of a lot of evidence that women previously had more power just because we have like historical accounts of people from other societies saying, oh, like kind of derogatorily saying like, oh, like they do this in the old fashion where women like hold the property and women handle business in the marketplace while the men stay home and we like that seriously is like a thing that they talk about. I don't know, like everybody's worried about being seen as like biased or like a crazy little lady, but I'm sorry, like I don't think it's totally irrational to theorize about these things and to pursue theories in an unbiased manner. Like that being unbiased means that you are free to pursue theories like this. Like, as soon as you bring up even the possibility that women might not have been, like, total doormats for all of history, everyone goes, well, let's not get too crazy here. Let's McFreaking lose it. I loved this. I highly recommend reading it. If you're a feminist, you will like this. You know, and I think it's fine to go in with like a critical, cynical eye. I found a lot of the citations really interesting in this because a lot of it was like older work that she was citing. It just makes me wonder how much new stuff have we really uncovered? Like what might have made these old things get kind of overlooked. Like it feels like the narrative at some point after this got published really started intensively being reworked and pulled back to like the idea that things have always been this way. Like I do just find that terribly interesting. And I'm sorry, but I believe her. I don't think it was always this way, so die mad. So I read Aquamarine by Alice Hoffman. I was pretty disappointed when I got that book in the mail. I thought that that was an adult book. I didn't realize that it was literally like a step above a picture book. That was just very like fine. The most recent thing that I have read is Mistress of Rome by Kate Quinn. This was not on my TBR. I picked this up kind of on a whim just because after The Secret History, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to read about like historical women, fictional or not. And so I picked this up kind of on a whim, and when it started out, I was like, okay, like, all right, here we go. And then I ended up giving it 5 stars because I absolutely loved it. You know what? Like, the tea is I enjoy historical mass market paperback, flowery, princessy historical fiction novels. Like, yes, I do. Because I've been trying really hard to like romance novels and I just haven't been able to get into it. I think that I'm much more into this kind of stuff because this actually had like real sex in it and like real steam and like really complex character dynamics. There were so many characters in this and it was so like uplifting to read and so fun, and I'm sorry, like it's really refreshing to read like a historical fiction by a woman. Like, yes, it is actually really fun and comforting and nice and sweet to read books that aren't about women being brutalized and don't center men. Like, it's nice to read about like a female main character who is not trying to pander to book talk. Like, you can see how many like secondhand shop stickers are on this. I think I need to read more books like this. I just want to read more like kind of, I guess, like general reading audiences, mass market paperbacks that like aren't trying to appeal to TikTok or like internet book people. Because honestly, like I can't really describe it, but like in many ways it was such a massive relief to read this because it was like just a story. And, like, I didn't feel like I was being, you know, lectured in, like, a political manner. And I didn't feel like I was being advertised to. I didn't feel propagandized by this. I guess I might have been a little worried about just like weird anti-feminist shit or whatever, but there wasn't really anything in this. Not anything like what I've seen in like some of the romance novels that I've tried reading. No weird comments about like shaving. Like all of the female characters were really, actually just all the characters in general were like really well fleshed out and interesting. And it was like funny and heart-wrenching. Like, that's what I want out of a book. Like, I don't want something that is like trying to be the like craziest, most progressive thing you've ever read. Like, do you get what I mean? It is so refreshing to just read a book that is literally just a book that clearly was written by somebody who loves writing. So I don't know, if you're like getting really sick of like just like internet book culture and like books being really heavily influenced by kind of insulated literary circles, and I have a bobby pin stuck in my hair. Like, maybe it's time to just start reading like random books you find at secondary shops. Like, find a genre you like and just fucking go. Literally pick up books that don't pander. The relief it will give you in your soul is immeasurable. It takes place in ancient Rome, and it's about a slave girl who becomes the emperor's mistress. It felt real. Like, it felt like a real person and not a committee wrote it. And then currently I am reading The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. It's good so far. This is about a couple who fall in love in Iran in 1953, so it's just like during a time of political upheaval. It's like a tragic love story, basically. So it's about them before the upheaval, and then I'm thinking it's gonna have after too. That is all I have for you today. I hope you have enjoyed this little video. the sound of the wind rustling through the trees. Let me know what you think about my little revelation with this silly little paperback book. I'm wondering if other people are like starting to feel the same as me. Like I'm ready to flip the book talk table at my local Barnes and Noble. Yeah, I hope you are having a good day, and I will see you in a little bit. In the meantime, feel free to follow me on Goodreads if you want more immediate updates on my reading. Yes, I know Goodreads, Amazon, blah, but I've tried Storygraph and I fucking hate it, so yeah, that's it. Bye.